Welcome to the Working Moms Podcast, featuring inspiring stories and resources for the modern working mom. I'm your host, Pamela Moss, estate planning attorney, mom, and owner of Law Mother. So today we have a very special guest, John Lee Dumas. He is the founder and host of the award-winning podcast, Entrepreneurs on Fire. You know him as JLD. He has turned Entrepreneurs on Fire into a media empire. It generates a million listens every month and 7 figures of net annual revenue 8 years in a row. He has a new book that I'm so excited to talk to him about today, The Common Path to Uncommon Success. Welcome, JLD.
Pamela, I am fired up to be here. We're going to have a great conversation, add a lot of value to everybody who's listening and watching.
Yes. And so I would love to get started and hear a little bit about your story, your journey. I know you are recently engaged and you have a dog, a new addition, but also want to kind of dive into how you got started.
Just making all the big life choices, getting engaged after 10 years, getting a dog. His name's Gus. He's actually right behind me here. He's a gorgeous golden doodle. And yeah, life is good, man. I just been doing what I can do, launching a podcast back in 2012, wanting to talk to entrepreneurs, inspire other people through conversations. And here we are 3,000 episodes later, 100 million total listens later, over 1.4 million monthly listens, having talked to over 3,000 successful entrepreneurs. Life is good.
And how did that all get started for you? Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, my background was back in 2012. I was like, hey, I want to improve the average of the 5 people I spend the most time with. And I am ready to start talking to some cool people. And what better way to do that than a podcast? So what's missing in the world? Well, what I wish existed that doesn't is a daily podcast interviewing the world's most inspiring entrepreneurs. So I set out, I created that podcast, and here we are a decade later.
And was it always, what was the kind of starting days were? Was it an overnight success or did it take a little bit of time to kind of get things going?
Well, I've interviewed over 3,000 successful entrepreneurs, and there's never been such thing as an overnight success. And the best thing you can really realize is an overnight success has always been at least 10 years in the making. And that's been my podcast. It's been a slow, steady improvement over time, both with my quality, my skill, my knowledge, my business, the show itself, the people that I've been able to interview, all of those things has been slow and steady. I like to say we get 1% better every day.
I love that. And I think, there's a few things that you talked about there. You talked about kind of the average of the people that you're around. And, when you kind of started the podcast and to now, kind of how has that average of those 5 people changed?
It went from hanging out with Debbie Downers and Don Doolittles to hanging out with Tony Robbins and Tim Ferriss. So I think the answer is pretty simple. Yes, getting to hang out with inspiring and motivating entrepreneurs, it's a pretty good thing to do. And that's actually the reason why I end every single one of my podcast episodes by saying, hey, Fire Nation, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You've been hanging out with Pamela and JLD today. So keep up the heat because it's true. You hang out with the right people, you improve. You want to lose weight, hang out with people that are in shape right now. You want to make more money, hang out with people that are wealthier than you right now. That's how you win.
And so kind of playing off that, you have a book, it's coming out soon. It's in pre-order now. And can you tell us a little bit about why you created this book, kind of what inspired you to put this book out there?
This book is the culmination of the 3,000 entrepreneurs that I've interviewed over the past decade. I was able to boil down the 17 core foundational principles that all 3,000 of these entrepreneurs share with one another and put them into a step-by-step chronological roadmap to financial freedom and fulfillment. So I boiled down all those conversations. What are the core foundational principles? What does it look like starting at step 1 all the way through chronologically to step 17? How can I turn that into a book? Well, that's 17 chapters. Let's sit down. Let's write this thing. Let's call it The Common Path to Uncommon Success, because it's not a hidden path. It's not secret. It's not complicated. It is a common path to get you to uncommon success. Now, let's be clear. It's not an easy path. It's hard work, but anything that's worthwhile in this world is hard work.
And one of the things that I did get just to confess, I got a sneak peek at the book and I loved it and I couldn't put it down. And I was lucky because I was snowed in this weekend. So I got to read through it before our interview. And one of the things I really loved about the book is that it is a roadmap and that you're giving practical tools. And the other thing I really loved about it is that you really kind of paired together freedom and fulfillment. And here on this podcast, the Working Moms podcast, that is a lot of our message, is kind of bringing together both that financial freedom and the fulfillment piece. And can you tell me a little bit more? I think a lot of tactical books, where they miss the mark is missing that piece of the fulfillment. So can you tell us a little bit about how you incorporated that in the book?
This book's tagline is not a 17-step roadmap to millions, because that is not financial freedom. Like, for some people, that can turn into financial freedom, but that alone is not financial freedom. Because I can tell you for sure, in person, I know people who are multimillionaires, even into the 8-9 figures. They are not fulfilled. They are not fulfilled individuals. Like, they may be financially free in some sense of the word, but they're doing something that is, soul sucking. They're doing something that they are miserable about doing. They are so lacking fulfillment that they can't find true happiness in this world. And so the people who I admire, of the 3,000 successful entrepreneurs, are people that are financially free and fulfilled in what they do. It's a combination of both things. So when you talk about financial freedom, it's like, how have you created your life to live below your means? If you're making $100,000 a year, you can be financially free if you're living on $50,000 per year. If you're making $50,000 per year, you can be financially free if you're living on $25,000 per year. If you're making $1 million per year, you are not financially free if you're living on $2 million per year, which a lot of people are. So you need to realize that financial freedom, it's all about getting down there and saying, how can I, within my means, live the life that I want to live, doing what I want to do, which is what brings the fulfillment part. Because when you're fulfilled, you're living in your zone of fire. You are identifying your big idea. You're going all in. You're waking up every day and you're living in that zone of fire. And that's what we need more of, Pamela. People living in their zone of fire. We need less of people getting up and going and doing something they're miserable about doing, because that's not making the world a better place. We need more people doing what makes their heart sing. Like, if you can be getting up every morning being like, I am so excited to be tackling the day today, you're winning and you are going to be fulfilled as a result. And we can bring that financial freedom place into that. You have both financial freedom and fulfillment. You are truly identifying success. And that's what this roadmap is all about, getting you to both financial freedom and fulfillment.
And you mentioned the zone of fire, and I kind of got lit up when you said that, because I loved that in your book. And can you tell us a little bit more about the zone of fire for the people listening?
So listen, your zone of fire, it's your big idea, but your big idea isn't just your passions, like just follow your passions. That's an important component to it, being passionate, excited, enthusiastic. But there also needs to be another component, which is skills, value, expertise. Like, you've got to be solving a real problem in this world. If you're able to combine value and skills and knowledge that you have with passions, excitement, and enthusiasm that you have, that is the center point. That is the zone of fire. That's where you're going to be able to wake up every day and be excited about what you're doing, because you're enthusiastic, you're passionate about it, but you're also adding real value to the world. And if there's one sentence I can have as the theme of our conversation today, Pamela, become the best solution to a real problem. And if you can identify your zone of fire, which is step 1 of the 17-step roadmap, but if you can identify that zone of fire and you can become the best solution to a real problem within your zone of fire, it is impossible for you not to win. That's the key.
And one of the things that I loved about your book and I love about your platform is that something that's really aligned with this podcast is really women leaders. And you, on your podcast, really showcase women leaders. In your book, you showcase some amazing women leaders. And can you tell us about some of those women, or one of those women that you showcased in your book, and how they kind of contributed as well to this conversation?
Yeah, I featured a lot of women in this book. I featured Selena Sue. I featured Jill Stanton of Screw the 9 to 5. Selena Sue's impacting millions. I featured Amy Porterfield. She has an amazing brand as well. So I love to bring women leaders to the forefront because they're doing amazing things in this world. I guess maybe the one person I'll talk about right now is Amy Porterfield, who is somebody who has been able to build an amazing team around her, and everybody in her team, it's a diverse team, but it is all females just because that's the brand that they have right now. At least to my knowledge, at least it was at the last time. Maybe she's hired a male or two, but maybe not. But I love how she talked in my book, in her contribution, about how to build a team, how she's built the right team with her operations, her department heads, and how that actually plays out. And it's just really inspiring to see how she's taken the lead, how she's being a leader, and how she's running an amazing, thriving 20+ person team that's inspiring millions of people around the world, and generating 8 figures of annual revenue. I mean, it's really inspiring to see.
That is so inspiring. And I, before we wrap up today, I wanted to talk to you about legacy. And something that I ask every guest is kind of, what is the legacy that you are creating in the world? So I would love to have you bring it home. I'm going to steal your words for us and talk about what your legacy is.
I don't know what my legacy is going to be. And, maybe I'll have to become a parent before I really care about my legacy. Because I think that seems to be something that parents really care about. So that'll be interesting if and when I become a parent, if that becomes important to me. Because right now, my legacy is this, and I'm detached from this. This is why I really don't know yet for me if legacy really matters. And what I am driven by and what I'm obsessed with is the ripple effect. And that is the fact that you and I are talking today and might inspire one member in your audience to do something that she might not otherwise have done. And now she's going to go off and do something amazing and inspire a whole sector of people that have never heard of either one of us. And they're going to go off and inspire another whole sector of people, and so on and so forth. That ripple effect, that 3rd, 4th, 5th degree of separation, I love that. And I don't need for any of them to ever know my name, to ever know John Lee Dumas or Entrepreneurs on Fire. I don't need that at all. That is not something that I'm concerned with. I just want to know that I did plant that initial seed with that one person that went off and did amazing things down the line. To me, that's where I'm at when it comes to my legacy, is that ripple effect. I can be an anonymous ripple effect, but I know I'm having it in this world, and that's very meaningful to me.
That is so powerful. And what is the best way for people to get the book, for them to connect with you and learn more about this?
Get this book. This is not my genius at all. This is the genius of over 3,000 successful entrepreneurs that I've interviewed over a decade. All of their genius downloaded into one book in 71,000 words and 273 pages. You can get what took me a decade and thousands of hours to accumulate knowledge-wise into a 17-step roadmap to your financial freedom and fulfillment. So if that sounds interesting to you, head over to uncommonsuccessbook.com, uncommonsuccessbook.com. And you'll see great endorsements from Erica Mandy, Dory Clark, Seth Godin, Gary Vaynerchuk, Neil Patel. You'll see the first chapter for free. You can read the first chapter and see if my writing style jives with you. You'll see a video of me jumping in the pool with my clothes on and then getting out and telling you all the details about the book. You'll see the 5 bonuses we currently have available for everybody that pre-orders. uncommonsuccessbook.com.
And definitely go get the book. I have an autographed version of the Freedom Journal here. Mm-hmm. I pre-ordered my version. I got the digital version, but definitely head over to the website. There is a really great companion workbook, companion course. I watched some of the videos on that. It's really a full package. So do it right now. Thank you so much, JLD. I really appreciate your time today.
Adios. Thank you, Pamela.
Hey, Mama. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Head over to my website, lawmother.com/podcast for all the show notes and links you heard in today's episode. You'll also be able to get access to my free legal tool for you to name legal guardians for your children to protect them and have that peace of mind. It's all right there at lawmother.com.